gonna walk all
So keep on walking. Again, I dedicate this to the New World Order and everybody that wants to trample our rights. We didn't start this fight, but you know what? We're sure as hell gonna
start walking.
Finish it. Gotta love it. This song's for you, my little New World Order pretties. I said I'd get into the whole First Amendment thing, and I will. I'm going to start that now and then go a little bit in the next hour. Then we have some guests coming. They're going to be in studio with us. One of them is a constitutional lawyer, and the other is one of the victims who had his illegal gun confiscated by the state police. Listen, slaves don't show those out in public. Might give other slaves an idea they're not slaves. They might think they can have a gun, too. Then that means the system's out of a job, and how's the state police going to be doing proctology exams on all the pretty girls, whether they be pretty black ladies or pretty blonde-haired, blue-eyed white ladies? Yeah, the whole country. They even got foreign travel advisories about coming to Texas because they do proctology exams on the side of the highway now here. But that's freedom. We ought to put that on the Texas flag, you know. I bet one of my great-great-great-great-grandpappies who raised Colonel Travis's son after Colonel Travis got killed, I bet they would have, if they heard, you know, one day in the future, there'll be flying airplanes in the sky and there'll be men wearing cowboy hats that pull your family over and one glove, 2 women, 4 orifices. That ought to be the Texas flag. I'm telling you, the image of a woman bent over a car with a state trooper right there with flies all over him and a filthy glove. All I can do is illustrate the insanity by illustrating it. They're sitting there, the state police, on video going, here is the law. It is legal to have this firearm. They go, we do not care about the law. It's amazing, ladies and gentlemen. So let me just ask the police something. Do you think you're being given all this unconstitutional power just because the system cares about us? No. You're being given this because criminals run the system and they want to get you ready for a war with the American people. The globalists are ending our prosperity. Everybody that works for the system should figure that out and realize FEMA demonizes the Founding Fathers, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Homeland Security publicly for a decade or more has trained the police this. That's now all public. With straight faces, the Department of Defense teaches now not just officers, but the enlisted. This broke in Judicial Watch 2 weeks ago and was on Drudge for 2 days and got millions of readers. I know it was our news article linked to them, so we saw the millions of people come in. So 2 million people in a couple of days read that, I know. And folks are upset because it actually says George Washington would not be welcome in today's Army. I want that to sink in. Folks that weren't in the Army probably don't know much history or Army history, but anybody who's in the Army, one of the first things you get taught at boot camp, I'm told, is about George Washington. And why would you be taught about George Washington? He's not just the founder of our country. He's not just the first president. He's something else. Who is George Washington? Who is George Washington, folks? Are you thinking out there? CJ, let me ask you in the control room. Who is George Washington? Why would they teach at boot camp the first week you're there about George Washington? Why would they do that? Because he's the founder of the U.S. Army.
Right, and he represents...
Absolutely, and then John Paul Jones is the founder of the Navy. But the whole issue is that George Washington is the founder of the U.S. Army. And he's not welcome in today's Army. And you know why he's not welcome in today's Army? Because today's Army's run by foreign banks and is occupied. And I'll tell you what else isn't welcome in today's federal government. Anything Americana, anything freedom-based, anything not completely twisted. And now let me start and give you a little introduction to what we're going to be covering in the first part of the next hour. Here is the article in front of me. Lois Lerner's own words. Emails undercut official IRS story on political targeting. And she goes on to say in these emails that are confirmed from February of 2011 to say that, go read it, the Tea Party is dangerous and scary and must be shut down. Well, yeah, that's what all the federal training manuals say. My God, these people talk about small government, liberty, the family, the Second Amendment, and worst of all, Jesus Christ. Whoa, sounds pretty nasty to me. Sounds pretty dangerous. People, You know, people with the lowest crime rate statistically, I've seen national studies out on the average Tea Partier, lowest crime rate group. And these are really bad people. Well, yeah, if you run Acorn and the Chicago Mafia, I bet millions of people organizing around liberty, common sense, and due process, I bet justice sounds pretty scary, don't you? So you need to call it racist, terrorist, everything else you can, and then have the federal government. You know how illegal this is? If they get away with this, folks, this is unprecedented, targeting people politically. They went after pro-life groups. You can look this up. We've played the audio here at the seminars and said to them, because the pro-life groups taped this, we're going to arrest you for tax fraud unless you stop praying at public events where anyone can hear you, and you need to stop protesting at abortion clinics. The IRS has no jurisdiction inside of religion, First Amendment. Plus, it wasn't around until 1913 anyways. It's a private collection agency for the Federal Reserve. Learn about that. That's a fact, folks, not some pipe dream here. Okay, we deal in facts here. They're stubborn things. Now, this is what's more interesting. Earlier this year in the IRS hearings, I'm going to do a news piece on this Monday. We got busy Friday, but I'm going to go back. We'll just type it in now. IRS, Lois Lerner testifies they did not target Tea Party. And you'll get the exact date on C-SPAN. You'll get news. What was it, 6 months ago? I mean, just type. Yeah, it was 6 months ago, but we've got a skeleton crew today, only 3 guys. But search engine that for me so I can give people an actual date here. But you all know, she said it. The Fast and Furious kingpin holders said it. They all said, ridiculous, we don't target anybody. Folks, it's now come out. They targeted libertarian, conservative, veterans, rights groups to get veterans funding that they deserve, their health care, gun groups, Christian groups, First Amendment groups, basically any type of American activity. This is like, no exaggeration, 50 times worse than the Red Scare and McCarthyism, where they just pressured corporations to blackball people and stuff. This is actually going and arresting and harassing and auditing and telling people what they can pray. I mean, this is naked, on steroids, authoritarianism. And there it is. Lois Lerner pleads the Fifth. The IRS probes aren't just potential. Yeah, but see, here's the deal. She pled the Fifth, but then went on to say, I plead the Fifth, so it wouldn't, I guess she thought, be in record, but lawyers pointed out it would be, and then said she didn't do it. Remember playing the clip. The Fifth means you plead the Fifth for self-incrimination and then shut up. Everything you say after that is admissible. Do you understand that, you witch?
Now you can watch Alex Jones live at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
You can also browse the network, the InfoWars Nightly News,
and over 60 movies and documentaries all together in one place.
You can watch the Alex Jones radio show live as it happened.
So check it out, Infowars.com/show.
I cannot be calm when everybody else is being calm and criminals are engaging in open political persecution, just like we saw in communist China, communist Russia, communist East Germany, fascist Germany, Fidel Castro's Cuba. I mean, the list goes on. And I sit here watching classical tyranny unfold. I'm going to get to it in the next segment and break it all down. This is kind of a no man's land segment. We're going to be getting rid of it soon and just making the next segment longer. Going to a real standard radio clock. But the frustration is that it's such a dumbed down public. Not even so much dumbed down, just conditioned to accept this, that they think it's weird when you get upset, some of them, about being run over. And I think that's because they're upset with the American spirit, or just a basic spirit of liberty for that matter. I went tubing down in San Marcos this morning with one of my friends and our children, and actually came up here about an hour before the show. They're actually up here today. And I jumped in, and my sunglasses fell off, and there was a guy there with his kids with fins on who was picking up sunglasses. And he went, "Come on, kids, let's get them before they stir up the water," He was watching me like a predator. And it was him and his like 10, 13, look like your old daughters. And they shot right by us. And I figured out my glasses were gone and watched him about 50 yards away by then, putting sunglasses in a bag he had of sunglasses. Because we were out there at like 10 in the morning. So people go at like 10 in the morning to find all the sunglasses. It's a business. And I was sure that he'd just gotten my sunglasses, because I remember he jumped in and shot right past me when my glasses had fallen off. And I was going to get goggles, and he got my little $100 pair of Oakleys. I mean, not that big of a deal. It was interesting to watch him, though, like a river bird predator, because the animals are so accustomed to humans down there. They're not domesticated. They are acclimated that we're not a threat. That we saw a big red-tailed hawk, the closest I've ever seen one in the wild, 10 feet above us, sitting on a branch of a tree going down the river. Looks like Brazil or something on the Great Rainforest, or going down the Amazon. And I saw a big blue heron right up close, like 10 feet away, closest I've ever been to a blue heron. I've tubed down there many times. And he had his beak open, sitting there watching fish and creeping up and eating them. And that guy watching me, waiting for all of us to jump in and lose our sunglasses, and then shooting off with his daughters, like a well-trained gypsy of old or something, to get my glasses. And then I could look at 50 yards and see him looking back, stick them in a bag full of other ones, because it was carrying him by the current. He goes, hurry before he gets stirred up, and shoots out to get him. And then I'm like, oh, I gotta get my glasses. He's already gone. And I didn't even get mad at the guy. It was realizing I'm somebody who goes down there maybe twice a year. He obviously lived down there, gets sunglasses all day. That's a whole industry down there with thousands a day going through it. Wallets, jewelry, you name it. And he was like a blue heron. I was a fish. But see, I am like a blue heron trying to teach fish how to not be eaten, basically. And if people would just become aware, you know, at least I recognize that guy. I'm about 90% sure he got my glasses. In fact, I'm pretty much 100%, but I'll just say 90%. At least I recognized, oh, that's why they're not here anymore in crystal clear water, because he shot off as soon as he saw me come up without him. I wondered why he looked right at me and went, come on, girls, before they stir it up. With a predatory look, swam right by me, stopped. I'm going, oh, my glasses. I go get my goggles, come back, they're gone, and then see him putting them in his bag down there. And I didn't chase after him, give him my glasses back. I was like, thank you for that lesson, my friend. That was a very valuable lesson I learned today. Have floaties on your glasses.
InfoWarsStore.com, a conscious and involved distributor of independently made products that support a healthy and aware community. Dive into cleaner waters with your own ProPure system and Pro 1D filter. Save 10% with the promo code WATER. We've handpicked a veritable treasure trove of the best non-GMO seed banks on the market. And our selection of films showcases a wealth of knowledge outdone only by our books. Check for combo packs to multiply your savings. Wear your colors proudly with one of these conversation starters. Now available in pink. Get prepared and fund the revolution at InfoWarsStore.com.
Live from the InfoWars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
And we are now back into the second hour. In the second half of this hour, we're going to have in studio Terry Holcomb in studio. He was arrested for having a pistol open carry, including a black powder pistol that's totally and completely legal and lawful. And we see folks carrying regular firearms being arrested all over the U.S. in areas where it is not prohibited by unconstitutional law. And this is a big national story that InfoWars nightly news reporter Jakari Jackson broke. And so I appreciate Jakari scheduling these guys for the Sunday show. This has now become a national story, seeing a veteran in a wheelchair also, that's coming up in the next segment, who was arrested for his firearms. So that'll be in the next segment. Then we'll bring them in studio with us here on air. Now, let's get back into the attack on the First Amendment. Lois Lerner, the head of the IRS, back in May of this year, she came and took the fifth, so she wouldn't have to testify, but then said that she wasn't targeting people in the testimony. Well, the fifth doesn't let you commit perjury. It lets you, if you believe you're being set up or whatever, or it's self-incrimination, lets you take the fifth and shut up. And then they can't compel you to testify. That's all that means. The right to remain silent. Everybody thinks that's Miranda. Miranda was a case where the police had to remind you, the Supreme Court said, that you had the right to remain silent. But that's now been thrown out because common law says ignorance of the law is no defense. So that shows the direction our country's going, even though you can technically say that is the law. So she now, her emails have now been released. In Congress's investigation, they've now subpoenaed her emails where she calls the Tea Party and any other libertarian or conservative group very dangerous, and says that they need to go after them. Okay, so she's lying. The Attorney General lied. They all lied. Of course, they have audited thousands of Tea Party groups and 0 socialist, communist groups, authoritarian groups that they call liberal. That's all on record. The Attorney General goes to big socialist black churches and tells them, go ahead, be political. We're not going to go after you. Giving them a green light to something that's already unconstitutional. You can't tell churches what they can say and can't do. There's no federal jurisdiction. They trick churches to become tax-exempt foundations, tax-exempt charities. But you're still tax-exempt under the First Amendment, and until the 50s, that was the case. I mean, it just shows, guaranteed, folks, if we don't turn the NSA spying around, in 10 years, people will say, the NSA has a right to spy on you without warrants. That's a conspiracy theory. That's how they set up this tyranny and then just get everybody used to it. So there's the Wall Street Journal. Here is the Washington Times email show. IRS, Lois Lerner, specifically targeted Tea Party. Boom. And even if she didn't commit perjury, which she clearly did, and all of her underlings as well went on record and lied, the persecution of people is the essence of tyranny. When the big, bad government politically targets people, we've always known this has been happening for decades, but now it's admitted, ladies and gentlemen, and if they don't go to jail for this, if they don't even get a slap on the wrist, a fine, man, Katie, bar the door. So many people I talk to go, man, I'm not going to be political. They'll come shut me down. I have preachers tell me that all the time, and I'm like, they're going to shut you down because you're a coward. Everybody lays down, you're going to get... I've told this story 50 times, I'll tell it again. In the last decade, they've noticed suddenly that coyotes have begun to kill humans. Coyotes have never been recorded to kill anybody other than a small child or baby. They're now eating full-grown women, mainly. In Canada and the U.S., women usually will be at a park by themselves at lunch eating, is usually the M.O. A group of coyotes, 5 to 10 or more, will show up. The woman will fall on the ground like a horror movie from learned helplessness. You know, in real life, women fight back, folks. It's not like, you know, Jason comes with the machete and you fall down. I don't know what woman that is. No woman I've ever been around. And the whole point is that a man might be able to subdue a woman, but it ain't going to go, you know, too easy, to use French. And the woman falls down and they kill him. Women now fall down to a mountain lion. They now fall down to a coyote. Mountain lions have always attacked people, but more and more often in areas where they know that you're not scared of them. So the point is, everybody grovels to this chilling effect, to this tyranny. The government is like coyotes now, getting away with targeting us and attacking us. So free people fight back for their basic liberties. Now, this is only the tip of the iceberg. Let me get to the other stories here that are just from the last few days. Senate panel okays measure defining a journalist, and the LA Times spun this, saying, oh, the government's going to protect the press. The press is already protected under the First Amendment, just like religion and the right to assemble is. Read the whole First Amendment, folks. Religion, then the press, then the people, the right to assemble, and to petition the government for redress of grievance. Go read the whole thing. It's only 2 lines long. So Dianne Feinstein comes out last year and says, I know how we're going to shut down talk radio. I know how we're going to shut down bloggers. I mean, they had a whole bunch of senators say, we want to shut them down. They're evil, they're liars, they're racist. You know, Harry Reid has said this. I'm going to play this clip coming up. Harry Reid said the Tea Party's dangerous and bad, and it's un-American to not love the government. The government is good. Remember Obama said, we don't want to hear about tyranny right around the corner. Well, now they're coming out going, oh, like the Patriot Act takes your rights. Oh, we have a Journalism Protection Act where the federal government will list if you're a journalist or not, and then not let you have authorization to any type of documents, information, press conferences, but it's worse than that. You will not be able to protect your sources unless the government certifies, and they liken it to CNN or the New York Times. They will decide. They said the Drudge Report or InfoWars, we will not be journalistic, even though we're real journalists. WorldNet Daily, getting a secret army document where they know al-Qaeda launched the chemical attacks. That takes a lot of nerve when they're arresting whistleblowers to put that out, folks. I mean, that's a big story, should be a national news story right there. So this is what we're talking about here. And then they spin it to the sheep. Oh, we're going to protect, because Obama's been persecuting whistleblowers and going after media sources and all the rest of it. And so the way they spin that is, oh, don't worry, the Democrats, the most authoritarian in history against the press, arresting reporters, you name it, we're going after sources. We're going to protect it by stripping everybody of First Amendment protection, unless you're a toady, and then we give it to you. Kind of like a White House press briefing where you've got to kiss their butt properly or you get kicked out. Ask a hard question. Doesn't matter if you work for the New York Times. You'll never be in a press briefing again. This is their reign of terror. So Matt Drudge blasts Dianne Feinstein for trying to define who is and isn't a real reporter and calls her a fascist. And I could not agree. Oh, here's the LA Times, though. Bill to protect journalists clears Senate panel. What do you want to bet they're going to get called journalists? Because they lied to you and told you this was something to protect the First Amendment instead of gutting it. But here's the good news. People are waking up to the lies. When we come back, law-abiding gun owners having their guns taken.
Hello, this is Hank Hill, and I'm telling you what, you need to listen to Alex Jones.
Yeah. Infowars.com.
I judge, what is the secret of the universe?
Infowars.com.
Look at what happened in other authoritarian countries. When the state starts persecuting you for your political views, you know you're in a tyranny. And when they start persecuting the founding ideas of a nation, you know it's a group of revolutionaries trying to overthrow the system. And that's what the globalists are. They're the revolutionaries, like the communists, the Bolsheviks in 1917 in Russia. We are the counter-revolutionaries, and the Weathermen and Obama's people are on record saying that. That's why they're doing all this persecution. That's why they're engaged in all this political correctness, trying to say everybody's a racist if you don't want to turn in your guns, is because this is a takeover by a political class. And they are going after the First Amendment. They are going after talk radio. They are going after free speech. They are going after the media. And we either stick together or hang separate, as Benjamin Franklin said. And the reason they're coming after us is, I have 3 million listeners a day, conservatively. And that's not exaggerated numbers like a lot of shows. We have millions of visitors a day to Infowars.com. Other Patriot-type sites get tens of millions of visitors a day, like Drudge and others. Together, we are bigger than the old dinosaur media. We are the media. And they know that. And they want to shut us down, calling it liberal, but it's really authoritarianism. That's why you need to stand with us for the First Amendment or lose everything. That's why it's imperative you spread the word about Infowars.com. That's why it's imperative you spread the word about PrisonPlanet.com. Why you become a subscriber to see the films and the nightly news and so much more at PrisonPlanet.tv and Operation Awakening the Sleeping Giant. That's why it's imperative you buy the books and the videos and the T-shirts. Because unlike NPR that gets taxpayer money, unlike MSNBC that gets taxpayer money, you didn't know that, stimulus money, we get none of that. We are supported by your free will. And that's why they want to collectivize things and make us all poor under Cloward and Piven, so you have no extra money to politically or economically vote with your dollars. So get at cost the new InfoWars September issue, Thou Shalt Not Have Any Gods Above the State. It's a special issue about the authoritarianism of the people calling themselves liberals. And when the fake right wing does stuff, we go after them. You know that, folks. But I've never seen such a full court press. Now is the time to get involved. InfoWarsStore.com for the high-quality water filter systems discounted, like ProPure, the best out there. 10% off promo code WATER. The Patriot Pro Gun T-shirts. The best Interfood liquid products, minerals, vitamins, all of it. InfoWarsStore.com. And you are funding, really, the #1 multimedia platform to fight tyranny and promote what they call terrorism, basic Americana. Now, that said, let me get into Harry Reid before I get into the Second Amendment. Harry Reid, I played this Friday. I've got to play it again. Because remember, Obama said, don't listen to those that say there's always tyranny around the corner. No, it already ran us over like a bus, and it's backing back over us right now. He says government is good inherently. Now look at government in the last century. It killed over 100 million people in Russia and Eastern Europe and other areas of Europe alone, 60 million in Russia by itself, upwards of 80 million in communist China, 260+ million worldwide in the 20th century. University of Hawaii study that came out a decade ago. Look up democide, or death by government. Non-military deaths killed by government. They've got the Motorhead song, Killed by Death. How about killed by government? And they've got a University of Chicago study on it as well. Their numbers are even higher. He's saying government is good and those that are against it are anarchist. The globalists are anarchist against the Bill of Rights and Constitution and individualism. The state says it'll go run wild. They are kleptocratic, selective anarchists who are above the law. Look at the UN, the diplomatic immunity. Here is this quick comment by Harry Reid.
We have a situation where this country has been driven by the Tea Party for the last number of years.
Thought they had no power.
When I was in school, I studied government, and I learned about the anarchists. Now, they were different than the Tea Party because they were violent. But they were anarchists because they did not believe in government at any level, and they acknowledged it. The Tea Party kind of hides that. Government is not inherently bad. Government is inherently good. That's why we have a constitution, and that's what we direct the activities
All right, that's
of
good.
government.
Now let's just be clear. Government historically has been inherently bad. Big government especially. And they're at odds with the Bill of Rights and Constitution on every front. I mean, Obama across the board, whether it's Pulitzer Prize winner Chris Hedges, who's a real liberal, saying he's twice as bad as Bush to the Constitution, or whether you're Pat Buchanan, a real right-winger. I mean, anybody with half a brain cell knows that the Democratic Party is power-grabbing with the help of the Republican leadership like nothing we've ever seen. And now they've got federal task forces out there without judge or jury taking veterans' guns if they find something in their psychology file they don't like. When we come back, we're going to get in studio 2 guests who are from an amazing organization, from a real civil rights organization. And that is, of course, TexansFirearmsFreedom.com, the legislative director for that. And we're also going to have a Terry Holcomb on, who is a pastor and a board member of Texas Open Carry, who was arrested Friday. Jakari Jackson, InfoWars Nightly News reporter, videotaped it. And then he went back Friday. There was more civil rights action. They arrested a disabled veteran in a wheelchair for his firearm downtown. And the police say, we don't care if it's legal or lawful. If somebody doesn't like how it looks, their right to not be scared by your gun in your holster is our right to take it. Now, that's normally the case when they take guns. This time, it deals with going on the Capitol grounds when the law says you can take black powder onto the grounds. And they show them the law. They don't care. They still arrest them. That is going to be coming up. We're going to premiere some new video here. Friday night, we already had the video of Mr. Holcomb being arrested. There's new video that just went up on Infowars.com that is dealing with the disabled veteran in the wheelchair. So this is the type of stuff going on. And this is the real civil rights movement, folks. They want us all at each other's throat, and MSNBC hypes racial division in the name of unity all day. How about all of us having our basic liberties restored? Private property, the family, the right to self-defense. That's what we defend as patriots. That's why they call us terrorists. I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com.